Okay, today we are diving into an absolutely wild story from an ancient text. It's a narrative that's packed with confrontation, incredible power, and a prophet whose words, believe it or not, literally reshaped the world around him. Everything kicks off with this one single command from a prophet named Enoch. And you gotta understand, this was not a gentle invitation. This was a line drawn in the sand. And that one declaration, it set the stage for a massive conflict that would echo across all the nations. So let's be clear. Enoch's message wasn't one of quiet persuasion. No, he was demanding that people take a hard look at themselves and make a choice. There was absolutely no room for middle ground here. And the reaction? It was immediate, and it was intense. The entire population basically split right down the middle. You had one group who heard his message and felt this pull to gather together. And then you had the other group who were so offended, so enraged, that they actually swore an oath to destroy him. And we're not talking about some small local dispute. The scale of this mission was huge. Enoch didn't just send messengers, he personally traveled to all of these different lands to deliver this very uncompromising message, face to face. Now, there was one very notable exception to all this: the people of Canaan. The text makes it clear they were deliberately excluded from this call to repent. The source actually describes them as a nation of murderers and anarchists, and says preaching to them would be like casting precious pearls of truth in the mire of a swine pen. So you can probably guess where this is heading. This major division had immediate and really dangerous consequences. As soon as Enoch's followers started to gather, they basically painted a giant target on their backs. And this is where the tension just skyrockets. Almost as soon as Enoch's people got settled, the alarm goes out. Huge armies, furious about his message, are all converging on this one spot with one single goal in mind: their complete and utter destruction. So what do? Build a wall? Raise an army? Nope. What happens next is just this incredible moment of high drama. Enoch, just one man, steps forward to face all of these vengeful armies all by himself. And this, right here, is the turning point of the entire story. The one-man versus an army showdown escalates into a display of power that is just unbelievable, truly world-altering. At the critical moment, we're told Enoch spoke the word of the Lord, and the landscape itself became a weapon. The earth literally split wide open. Mountains just slid off their foundations. Rivers jumped their banks, sending walls of water everywhere. And as if that wasn't terrifying enough, the roar of lions echoes out of the wilderness. So the aftermath was, well, decisive. The survivors of this cataclysm didn't even think about regrouping. They just fled. They ran in absolute terror, their mission completely shattered, just scrambling to get back home and tell everyone what they had just seen. And to really get a sense of how terrifying this was, the text mentions the giants, a nation that was apparently known for being fierce, the most feared warriors around. Even they were so scared that they stood afar off, wanting absolutely nothing to do with Enoch or his people. And then, a really strange twist. With their common enemy now completely untouchable, that whole alliance just falls apart. All that anger and frustration had to go somewhere, right? So the former allies just turned on each other, sparking all these wars and bloodshed. And all of that violence leads us to the final, and maybe the most complex part of the story, this long-term peace that was born from an absolutely terrifying event. The long-term consequences here are just profound. While all the other nations are descending into war with each other, this one single event secured over 3 centuries of peace for Enoch and his followers. Nobody dared to mess with them ever again. So what was this peace built on? It wasn't diplomacy. It wasn't goodwill. It was fear. The source says it plainly. The fear of the Lord was upon all nations. That overwhelming terror is what mandated the peace. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? The story ends with one group of people in a state of perfect safety and prosperity, but it was achieved by demonstrating a power so overwhelming that it terrified everyone else into leaving them alone. It really makes you wonder, can a peace that's born from fear truly be called peace? What do you think?